Hello friends, Ash here with Gents. How are you? Today we're talking about breakneck fragrances. What is that even? That's what you may be asking yourself, and that's what I asked myself. My wife actually told me to make this one. She said that it was a trend, and I'm like, what kind of trend exactly? Apparently breakneck fragrances is a thing. The first time I heard of breakneck fragrances, I actually thought of the bent neck lady from Haunting of Hill House. That's a completely different thing, I think. So we will be doing a video on breakneck fragrances, but this will not be a video about fragrances that will in fact cause your neck to break, or at least hopefully not. If it does, something went wrong. Just got some fragrances here that are quite good at getting people to take notice of what you're wearing in a positive way. I mean, we could make this 10 breakneck fragrances, I guess, that smell horrific. Maybe that's actually what I should have done, but I didn't. And I also worked in some here that are a little bit more under the radar. So let's jump into it. Let's check these out. Hey guys, before we jump into it, codes Gents10. Gents10 is the code, and that's for twistedlily.com or maxaroma.com. It'll get you 10% off either one of those websites. So if you shop there, use that code, save yourself a little bit of cash. Let's see where to start. Let's just start with this guy. L'Odyssée pour Homme or Encens by Issey Miyake. Now this one is off and on difficult to find. Sometimes it's not so bad, other times it is. So essentially what that means is if you're lucky, this will be available at discounters whenever you're watching this video. But also you run the risk of it being sold out everywhere for the next like 3 months, and you really don't know with this one. It's kind of the same with a lot of the Issey Miyake fragrances that are more for cool weather. You know, your Pulse of the Night, that one's actually close to impossible to find, but Pulse of the Night, Noir Argent, Noir Ombre, and Or Encens. Those fragrances all can be difficult to find, but they are still sometimes available. So Or Encens, in case you've never smelled it, is high quality, really nice. And you can tell that Issey Miyake put a little extra magic into it because they even went a step further and gave it a nicer presentation. It's got a nice big box. So this one is, of course, an incense fragrance right there in the name. It also has a good amount of rose. As soon as you spray it on, you get quite a blast of it. As I said, though, really well done stuff. The quality fantastic, great longevity here in fall and winter time. This will get you noticed. Now let's switch it up and go with bondnumber9.com. from Bond Number 9. Now, Bond Number 9 is not a house that gets a huge amount of love, and it kind of makes sense to me. Yeah, a lot of their fragrances, when you're looking at them at full retail, kind of an iffy proposition. A lot of times you don't feel like maybe you got quite as much as you should have for the amount that you paid. But they are well known for the star bottles, which are quite flashy and eye-grabbing. So if you go into like a Saks Fifth Avenue or something like that, and you see a whole bunch of these lined up on a shelf counter, they're all different colors. Yeah, it's really easy to get sucked in, especially if you don't know a whole lot about fragrances. So a lot of people don't really dig that, you know, the fact that maybe you feel like you're not getting quite as much as you should in terms of quality, but they do have some fragrances, especially at discounters, that work great for their price point. And this is one of them. I had it backwards. And this one smells similar to Creed Aventus. If Aventus were much more focused on the pineapple side of things, the fresh side of things. Smells awesome, great compliment puller, really good choice for spring and summer. Then we got Pepe Jeans Celebrate, which don't pick this up by the cap. I just did that. It didn't work. It went flying. Thankfully, undamaged, except for my atomizer now has a dent. Then we got, I dropped it. Let me grab it. Stupid thing. Don't pick up by the cap. I say all the time, don't pick up by the cap, and what do? So Pepe Jean Celebrate is mad cheap. You can get that for under $20 from discounters. It's a wonderful fragrance for spring, fall, and winter. It's sweet. It has some similarities to stuff like Pure Excess or Carolina Herrera Bad Boy, or even the scent Private Accord. So you could think of it to an extent like an amalgamation of those three fragrances, bits and pieces of each one put together, but not the exact same as any one of those three. So it's its own thing, but, you know, vaguely inspired by other popular scents for cool weather time. Really, really good quality for the price point because again, under 20 bucks here and an absolute under the radar gem as far as cheapies go. After that, BDK Parfum Gris Charnel, probably the most popular from the house, maybe this one or Gris Charnel Extrait. So yeah, pretty much this. A lot of fragrances from this house have a little bit of a feminine lean to them, like unisex leaning feminine. This one I think is firmly unisex, but this is not a fragrance that's going to come across, super masculine, if that's what you're after. Has a nice sweetness to it, fig and a little bit of tea in there, cardamom as well. So it's got a unique approach as compared to most other fragrances on the market that you would be wearing for, versatility and compliment factor and stuff like that, which, let's be real, if you're trying to break someone's neck, you're trying to get compliments, I guess, unless you're like a rapper and you're telling somebody to break their friggin' neck. Trying not to get demonetized. Really classy stuff though. Nice creaminess to it as well. A little bit of woodiness as it dries down. Great stuff. Then we got Ralph Lauren Purple Label. Now Purple Label just never seems to show up at discounters. That's what sucks about Purple Label. That and the performance could be better. To be fair though, here recently this did pop up at Fragrance Net and Fragrance Buy both, and then it sold out and they haven't gotten more in stock. So it's kind of like a fluke type thing that it showed up there, because for as long as this has been out, it almost never pops up at discounters. So that's unfortunate. If you want to pick Purple Label up, chances are you're going to have to pay retail or close to retail. And this does smell similar to Bleecker Street from Bond Number 9, which I actually mentioned earlier in the video. Now, when you first spray this on, it actually has a pretty strong grassiness to it. Yeah, like a green grassy kind of feel to it. Blackberry, one of the notes in the top, which is quite unique. It is one of those interesting compliment pullers. Like, it's always done really well for me, just like Bleecker Street has. But when you first smell it, you may not know exactly what to make of it. Like, you may smell it and then think to yourself, that is not what I would think of as a compliment pulling fragrance, because it doesn't at all smell like what you would typically think of as a compliment puller nowadays. Blue fragrance or a sweet gourmandy type scent. It's neither of those, and yet it works great. Then a fragrance from Banana Republic, Tobacco in Tonka Bean. Would you be surprised to learn that it has both tobacco and tonka as notes in the fragrance? I know. These naming conventions, they're getting out of control. The fragrance itself does have a unique note breakdown though past the tobacco and the tonka. It's also got vanilla, which makes sense. That works with tobacco, it works with tonka. But then it has plum, coconut, and pear, which is different. So you have both these warm aspects, these sweet aspects, and then on the other side of the spectrum, you've got like an interesting dark fruitiness and a slight tropical note, but it works. One of the best fragrances that Banana Republic has done, Tobacco and Tonka Bean. Then we got a scent coming up here that does great at pulling compliments. It is not my favorite from the house. I do think it's good, very wearable, super versatile, easy to like, but I do like just a few other ones from the house a little bit more. It is Remarkable People. And this is one that actually a lot of my friends were in love with. That's the whole reason I got it, because they liked it so much and they would just harp on me, man, you gotta get it, you gotta get it, you gotta get it. So I did. Like I said, I do like it. It is very wearable, but I feel like maybe I was just expecting, something earth shaking just because of how much they liked it. But if you're after compliments and attention, it's a pretty safe bet to get that done for you. What's most well known from the fragrance probably is gonna be the champagne in the opening. So you have grapefruit and cardamom mixing together with that champagne note, which is going to give it, of course, this kind of effervescence, this sparkle, this sweetness. Smells really good when you first spray it on. Then as it dries down, you get a little woodiness that comes out, some additional fresh spice. And as I said, as far as versatility goes from this house, this is probably your best bet or close to. Now let's say you're after a high quality citrus scent, but you don't want to spend too much money. You could check this out. It's from Acqua di Parma. It's Bergamoto di Calabria. From discounters, quite affordable. And yes, bergamot is going to be one of the main things that you pull from this. Surprise. You also have citron, ginger, cedar, vetiver, and musk as some of the other notes in the scent. So you know what you're in for here. You're in for a very appealing citrus opening and a clean woody dry down, and that's what you get. As I said, the quality is good, the wearability is there. In the middle of summer, that stuff smells amazing. The only drawback is the performance. It could project a little bit better, but it's not too expensive and the quality is there, so I can overlook that and just spray a little bit heavier. Then we got Scandal from Jean Paul Gaultier. This is the original Scandal for men, and this one is just one of those compliment beasts that maybe doesn't get talked about quite as much as some other compliment monsters do. Like, people will talk about Sauvage being a compliment monster, and it is. Or they'll talk about Stronger With You, Absolutely or Intensely, and those are too. But this one seems to be maybe not quite as sexy of a choice when you're talking about compliment getting sense, and yet just as good as those ones I just mentioned. And maybe that's because Scandal isn't viewed as being quite as unique when it came out. I know some people will say, oh, Sauvage isn't unique, or, you know, Stronger With You isn't unique, but when those fragrances launched, they smelled like their own thing, and you knew right away, like, oh, yeah, this stuff is gonna work. Scandal, you can kind of, you know, say it smells a little bit like some other things out there that have existed for a little while, and so maybe that removes some of the luster. I don't know. I'm just spitballing here. But the caramel and Tonka combination in this fragrance, if you're after attention, compliments in fall and winter time, this stuff will do it for you. Last scent, Dior Homme 2020. My old nemesis turned into a good friend. Now, of course, I have harped on this ad nauseum, so we won't go into it too much, but when this first came out, I was not a fan. Got in my bottle, sprayed it on, was unhappy because Dior had done away with the iris of the Dior Homme line, which I loved. I mean, I make no apology for that, but essentially I was butthurt. Yeah, I was unhappy that Dior was doing away with that iris. So I was like, man, why do that? Why not just release this as like a new flanker or something? That's what everybody else does, you know? Dior Homme Wood Edition or something. I don't know. Dior Homme Boisé, and have it be its own thing, or maybe start a new line of fragrances and base it around this. But no, why do you have to go and wipe out my iris, man? But they did, and I was unhappy about that, and it clouded my judgment. And then as time went on and I kind of got over it, I wore the fragrance more and more, and I was like, this is actually really good. Dang it. So yeah, very modern, woody fragrance, great versatility. You can wear it anywhere, anytime, in my opinion. Big time compliment puller as well. Dior Homme 2020 just works. But I know what Dior is doing. They're playing 4D chess. So they're waiting for everybody to come around and say, you know, actually, Dior Homme 2020, I like that stuff. And then Dior is going to be like, well, good. I'm glad you like it. It's discontinued. And now we're doing something completely different again. Can't wait for that to happen. Yay. So there we go. 10 breakneck fragrances. Thank you all for hanging with me. Stay safe out there. I will see you tomorrow with another fragrance video. See you later.